they work with. He says, no, they really don't know me. He said, so what they don't understand is I was in the service for 20 years, and then I retired. And then I became a postman for 20 years. And then I retired.
So he's got 2 pensions.
Yeah. And I collect Social Security too. So I get 3 pensions because he always worked a second job.
Yeah.
He said, I get 3 paychecks. I don't even work. I said, Willie, why are you doing this? He said, have you been married for 50 years? I said, no, sir. He said, I have. And then he laughed. He sang a song, continued to sweep up. He was doing that to occupy. He didn't need to be there.
There's only so much fishing he could do.
That's exactly. He was there because he wanted to be there. And he figured if I'm doing this 40 hours a week, me and Mama still get along.
And I think that, again, that's serving you. That's the power of it. If you're working as a greeter at Walmart when you're 68 or 74, my desire for you is that you're doing that because you want to.
If you're doing that because you have to. If you're doing it because you have to, that's sad.
That's sad. If you're doing it because you want to, I think that's great. Go do it, enjoy it. It keeps you busy, gives you the bingo money or the fishing money or whatever bit of, as we call it, mad money that you want, need, desire. That's great. But if you're doing that because that's what you got to do to be able to keep the air conditioner going, to keep the, sorry.
You did something wrong.
You probably did something wrong.
And maybe you were dealt the wrong hand, maybe because stuff happens, as you mentioned before. But for the most part, you probably didn't do things right.
Yes.
Yeah. Another thing, there's retirement. And everybody has an idea of retirement, just like everybody had an idea of, well, the long jump. You can only jump so far. Then Bob Bowman beat it by a foot.
That's right. The 4-minute mile, the whole bit.
The 4-minute mile is another one. Retirement at 65 is another one. And I've had people smarter than me, at least I thought they were, say, well, I can't work till I'm 65. I'm a hod carrier or I'm a bricklayer. And I'm going to say, you know what? That's hard work. You probably can't do that till you're 65. But you can sell bricks. You can do the figuring on how much it costs your customer to build the brick wall.
Become an estimator.
Exactly. I mean, just because you're a bricklayer doesn't mean you have to be nothing but a bricklayer.
I was talking to a guy the other day, and I've known Steve for 20, 25 years. And he does masonry work, does a lot of tuck pointing. He's very, very good at it. And I said, hey, I saw this on Facebook where this guy's looking for a tuck pointer. And he's a couple years older than me. He's probably early, mid-50s. And he said to me, Kieran, I'm so backed up. All the trades guys right now are backed up.
They are.
You can't get, I mean, they are busy. He said, but I'm going to run this out for the next 2 to 3 months. I'm going to get my knees fixed, and then I'm going to quit doing this. But then he said, and then I'm going to work on something else. He named it. I'm not going to, but he named it. Mm-hmm. So it's not retiring. It's just that he's been doing masonry work since he was 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
So he's been doing it for 35 plus years. That's probably about all you can do it.
Exactly. I mean, when I was in skilled trades, when I worked as a machinist, I loved it. I made good money. I enjoyed it. It was very satisfying. But I come home from work and my legs hurt, my back hurt, my hands were all beat up. And I thought to myself, I can still do this, but I don't know if I can do this for another 30 years. And I definitely know that I don't want to do this for another 30 years.
That's right.
So I stayed in the profession, but I worked with customers. First, I managed the guys in the shop. Then I worked with the customers who bought the stuff. Now I sell the stuff, okay? It's still the same thing. I still use those skills I learned in the trades every day.
Absolutely.
But look at my hands. The only time my hands get dirty is when I fall down, okay?
That's right.
Okay? It's a whole lot easier on my back that way.
And that's a great opportunity that exists today. That's the mobile society that we talk about.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this country allows you to have that. I knew 3 guys who were from another country, and they came here because they were tool makers in the old country, but they were never going to be anything more. And they became salesmen in this country and made a whole lot more money. Now, where were those guys from? What third world country were they from that had the glass ceiling that only let them get so high because their dad was this, so they have to be this? Was it Bangladesh? Was it Gabon? Was it Nepal? No, it was England.
Yeah.
All three of them.
Yeah.
And you'd think England, well, that's a first world country. What do you mean? There's opportunity there. Not for those guys.
I remember it was 20 years ago, and I was talking to a lady. Her name's Camilla, and she was from London. And I don't mean near London. I mean from London.
Was her last name Parker Bowles?
No. And her mom was a member of the House of Lords.
Okay.
Her brothers went to Eton.
Mm-hmm.
She went, I can't remember the school, but it's a girl's equivalent of Eton.
Okay.
So this is a long way from the hard scrabble life, right?
Exactly.
We were talking about homes and what you'd want and this and this. She said, you know what I would love in a home? Central heating.
Yeah.
Central heating.
Didn't
I said,
have it.
Camilla, what do you do? She goes, and it was the same thing that I'd seen. My mother's from Ireland. I'd seen in Ireland, just in-room heaters, little fireplaces, little portable heaters, things like that. Her mom's in the House of Lords. Her brothers went to the same school that Prince Harry and William went to.
Yeah.
She went to the girls' equivalent.
And didn't have central heating because the old house didn't have it.
Didn't have it.
Yeah.
Not easy to get. Now, that was 1998. So I remember that conversation distinctly.
Yeah. It's amazing what we have here and what we truly take for granted. I knew a guy, again, he was in the UK, and he was director of sales, so a high position in his company. And this was a guy who had people that worked under him. He had the respect of his peers, certainly the respect of the people in the industry. And he said, but after the expenses were all done, he said, about twice a month, I have enough money left over where I can go out and have a pint with my friends. That's all we have. Everything else was just spent towards living. People don't understand how much opportunity we have here in this country.
And this is, so if we're talking about wealth and finance and money and all, this is all of it. I saw, I can't think of the man's name now, but he has a YouTube channel, and I watched some of his stuff, and he was talking about how would you like to be in the 1% wealthiest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
$753,000 will get you there.
Yeah.
753,000, not cash, not in, this is net worth.
Worth.
So if you've got a $250,000 house it's paid for, you got $300,000 in the 401k, your wife's got $300 in hers, and you got an extra, folks, you're there.
You're already there. If you're a hater on the top 1%, you may be there.
You're there on the global scale. You're there. In the United States is number one. There's almost 20 million people like that in the United States. Mm-hmm. Japan's number two. There's about 4 million. But the United States is more than 2 through 10 added together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
And if you listen, and again, these are my buddies in the UK. I had a fellow, and it was a couple of Americans and a bunch of Brits all having dinner. And we were talking about what we do and what we have and blah, blah, blah. And the one Brit looked to the other one. It was almost like we weren't in the room. And he said, because things are very expensive over there. They don't make as much as we do, and things cost a whole lot more. And he looked at his buddy, again, like we weren't even in the room. He said, they make far more money than we do, and it doesn't cost nearly as much to live over there. They have everything now, don't they? And that was a telling moment for me, because we all have problems. We all have our first world problems.
Absolutely.
And when you compare it to even people in the UK, who a lot of them don't have as much as we do.
Well, I think this is a thing, Strong. If you said to somebody, okay, you have to leave the United States. You have to go live somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll send you wherever.
Mm-hmm.
The UK is probably on a lot of people's short list.
Yeah.
We speak the language, familiar enough with the culture.
Sure.
We judge the standard of living to be pretty close.
Right. It is and it isn't.
It is and it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to be a quote unquote working class person, and you can do that in the U.S. or you can do that in the U.K., you're crazy not to do it in the U.S.
Yeah, everything is so much easier over here. If you pay attention, if you invest at a young age, if you continue to invest at a young age, you're going to be just fine. You really are.
It's hard to be absolutely. Well, it's the same thing, and I've heard you speak about this. If you just don't ever want to be poor in the U.S., don't have kids till you're married, finish high school, and always have some sort of a job.
Yeah. No, don't go to prison. That's another one. Don't take drugs. If you just do all that kind of stuff, because minimum wage, and that's not even a fair value anymore, because most people make more than minimum wage. I mean, the fast food restaurants pay $10 an hour now. Okay. If you're married and you both work 40 hours a week and you both make $10 an hour, that's $800 a week. You're way above the poverty
$40,000 a year.
Yeah, that's way above the poverty level.
In this part of the country that we live in,
yeah,
you should be able to pay your bills. Yeah, you should be able to have a secure place to live and be able to pay your bills.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. I mean, you can do things in this country that you just can't do anywhere else if you just do a few things right.
And it's amazing. One of the great things that you can do in this country that people, I think they really undervalue this. You can pick up and move 500 miles, 800 miles.
That's true.
And most people, so if you're in Boston and you move to Phoenix, you're going to have your Boston accent.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't going to not hire you because of it.
That's right.
They're not going to say, oh, well, it's that accent. That means, no. Oh, that means he's from Boston. Probably likes the Reds, probably a Brady fan.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they're going to say.
They're going to poke a little fun, but no big deal. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you can do that. Mm-hmm. Wow, that doesn't exist. So if you're in India and you want to move 1,000 miles, they probably speak a different language.
Yeah.
They're probably different customs.
Yeah. And
you're probably going to get judged from where you came from,
because
much harder.
They still have the caste system over there.
They still have the caste system. In the UK even. I'll go back to Camilla. She was saying, hey, did you meet this guy, Austin? And I said, yeah. She goes, well, he tells people he's from London, but he's not. I can tell by his accent. He's not. He's a poser.
Wow.
She was judging him.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. That's the thing. People in this country, they really don't care about that. My youngest son, worked with a young man who was from a bad part in St. Louis. And he moved to St. Peter's and started working in a fast food restaurant and got promoted, and he does just fine now.
Yeah.
And my son asked him, well, why did you move to St. Peter's? And you know what his answer was? That's as far as the bus went.
That's it.
Yeah. The bus went to St. Peter's, and that's where he decided
that's
to
where
live.
he got off.
Because he didn't have a car.
Yeah.
And the kid made it. He's just fine.
And he got himself out of a probably violent, depressed neighborhood.
Yeah.
Into a middle-class neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. And does just fine. Yeah.
He didn't have to get a visa, didn't have to get a permit, he just showed up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing.
We're going on close to an hour. What I don't want to forget, but I almost already have, but I know you haven't, or at least I hope you haven't. Yeah. You said, hey, I definitely want to mention.
Yeah, I just want to talk about when people talk about investments, if you sit down with the professional, they're going to talk about asset allocation. Mm-hmm. You need large cap. You need, which is the Coca-Cola's, Microsoft. You need these mid-cap companies. You need this. And one very important asset class that often isn't spoken about, but it is vitally important, is cash. First of all, it's the first asset class you should accumulate. So if you've saved $10,000 and you want to put it in the market and that leaves you out of cash, you can't put 10 in the market.
You got to leave something for a rainy day fund, whatever.
What are you going to do when the transmission falls out of the car?
Right.
Okay. You need putting it on MasterCard, not your best option. Okay. You always want some cash, because when you have cash, you have an opportunity in the entire market, be it the stock market, be it real estate, be it business ownership, always. And you might say, yeah, but I can sell the stock and I can get the cash in 2 or 3 days. You can, but what if that opportunity comes up in the spring of 2009? Spring of 2009, people were bailing out of real estate, taking pennies for dollars. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you had cash, you could take advantage of it.